sure we say his name correctly. It's not DJSemla, it's DJSemla.
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 DJSemla. Alright, we gotta get that right. We'll do that.
Semla.
I'm gonna flick the screen over now. So, I guess everybody, we should welcome you to the Summer Championships. We're gonna get this underway. Game number 1 in a best of 5. PrinceofKabul versus DJSemla, not Selma. For the round of 32. The winner of this set will advance to the next round of the tournament, the round of 16, and the loser will be eliminated.
Semla. Semla. I've been saying it Selma so much in my mind that I just have to... The more I verbalize it.
I hope I've got it right on the stream. I'm sure I have. But let's get this underway. Game number 1. We are starting right now. The matchup is Germans versus British. I'm not sure how much thought went into this because I wasn't there to watch them switching civs or selecting civs or talking to each other or anything like that. But the first game is German versus British, and we do have the German player PrinceofKabul, who I've heard quite a lot of actually. A very well-versed player, definitely quite strong, rated as a brigadier here, and definitely deserving of the position in the tournament he is in at the moment. PrinceofKabul starting on the right-hand side of the map here. He is starting with 2 wood crates as the Germans. That is what he wants to see. A nice, easy trading post. Crack shot on that bear right away. Going to grab that 40 XP treasure as well. Perhaps he's tested the match, knows that on this map he can perhaps grab that trading post and get the first sort of beaver treasure or whatever the equivalent is. And, that's definitely going to be quite good. That'll make his first shipment come even sooner.
Yeah, assuming, of course, that he does get it. I think he will get it just because of the position that the route is currently in. I mean, it's only, a third of the way. It's still got like a third of the way left, plus the little bit of turnaround time. If he does end up missing that, though, that it is a bit of a blunder.
Big mistake. That would be a big mistake. But if it pays off, that 3 Vil shipment, he's going to have that super fast. Here we go. Moment of truth.
So
looks
close.
like he's going to get it up. Oh,
it's so close. It's so close.
Oh, wow.
It's so close.
Yeah, but now look at that. 80% of the way there for that 4 villager equivalent shipment. Germany off to a rocket of a start. In the left-hand side of the map, though, in the color red, we do have DJSemla.
Semla.
Not yes, Semla.
M before L.
Yep, there it is. Playing as the British, laying down that market. That is his first thing that he has done. Of course, going to grab himself that Hunting Dogs upgrade. Got it in at 1 minute 20 there. Really quite nice and early. Definitely done a good job. These players, of course, at this point in the tournament, definitely going to be quite good. DJSemla, not somebody I've heard much of, honestly. Not someone I've known about, but clearly has made his way into this section of the tournament, so likely to be quite deserving and quite a good player. This matchup, though, a vanilla one, and as I always say, I do enjoy vanilla matchups. British versus Germany. What have you seen so far, Zu?
El Clasico. This is like one of the classic matchups, right? Like this is, very similar to like Brit versus French. It just comes down to timings and whether or not Brit can get away with booming really aggressively, and whether or not he's able to stop the German timing. And we'll have to see whether or not that actually takes place. Looks like Kabul actually taking a lot of damage to his Explorer down here as well, which is certainly not going to be something that he wants to lose. Definitely getting denied a lot of scouting time and a lot of scouting map presence by losing that early in the game. So
definitely
nice little pickup for red there, but we'll have to see whether or not that guy gets picked back up at some point, and whether or not having him down this early in the game really becomes some sort of an issue here for PrinceofKabul.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be tough to know what his opponent is sort of doing without it, though by the time it's quite close to his base, he can go and grab that, get it up. But it means sending like a villager over there or some other unit, which is not ideal. Certainly 45 XP at the least for Semla, but could be relevant if he doesn't know what his opponent is doing. Though Semla now heading on up to the next stage, 20% aged, got a fairly nice age time. All villagers switched over to wood, of course, as British wants to get down a couple of manor houses during transition and, of course, collect enough wood for his first military building.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what Semla like actually has to offer here. Like so far his early game has been very, very crisp. As you mentioned, like his hunting dogs was right on par with what you would expect, very high level players of being. And he's done a good job of herding. He's got like his first house in a good position, stuff like that. So like everything that that he's done so far has looked really crisp. And having good crisp builds, especially against a civ like Germany, who relies, very heavily on timings and crispness of their own build, is definitely going to be something that's going to be important. And a couple villagers sneaking forward. Looks like maybe some pressure is in line.
Looks like it could be seeing, obviously going to be seeing that. Early barracks going to be seeing perhaps some pressure. This is, perhaps going to be disrupting Germany, which is, going to be quite nice, especially since that scout's down. If he doesn't see it, then this could be quite unexpected and could be awkward for Germany to deal with. That Tomahawk treasure's done a lot of work. It's picked up, an 80 food treasure. Yeah. He's managed to kill his opponents, and he's even, it's pretty good.
He's harassing villagers, making villagers move around in Blue's base as well, which is super annoying. Like, and if nothing else, it's going to desensitize Prince to like the warning bell sign, right? Like that noise, like you're being attacked, is constantly going off in his head, and he may not realize that he's going to be under attack, and like he could get potentially, a villager picked off or something just as a result of the annoyance of that bell going off and being desensitized to it. So we'll have to see whether or not that happens here as well.
Absolutely, and he has managed to get a villager down to below half hit points, and that could end up being very relevant at some point in the game if it's perhaps on that forward coin mine there. If he's careful, he could put it, make sure that villager is in the back so it's not vulnerable to a volley of musketeers. But certainly that particular villager is now damaged as a result of making sure he's spending his APM wisely with these two units that he has access to, and there's really no reason not to do that in this sort of high level competitive game.
Yeah, unfortunately for Semla, the first batch of muskets he got out was only a single musketeer.
No!
So unfortunately, the pressure is not going to be very real or very strong. I mean, imagine if this was 5 muskets instead of just the single. Yeah. It would be far more scary. But unfortunately, due to the fact that the timing's a little bit off here, the explorer is going to get cleaned up. Those 2 Ulans are even going to be able to kill that musket if they want. And as a result, there is literally zero pressure on this forward coin mine, which really is what Brit's wanting to try and accomplish here with this play. More muskets are coming out now, but unfortunately, giving Prince of Kabul some time to react, giving him the time to know that there's some sort of rush online is going to be quite beneficial for Blue.
It definitely lessens the competitiveness of what British was trying to do with these 2 forward buildings. Of course, if he had got those 5 extra units out, he could have harassed that coin mine, as you're saying, and maybe denied even a few extra cavalry here. There'd be less cavalry in this first batch, maybe 1 less, perhaps even 2 less, something like that. And of course, that's going to make, that would have made a big impact as the game went on. But, at this point, Red still, causing a lot of damage for Blue here. Manages to pick up a villager. Nicely done, I think. No, it wasn't the weak. Oh, it might have been the weak. I don't know.
Yeah, it was one of the fairly low HP ones, and another one goes down as well.
Yeah, wow. Actually, all of that, all the issues he had only getting 1 musket. I think he's made up for that right here, though. Blue raiding, has he managed to take anything? Not sure. Certainly forcing all the vills into the TC in his opponent's base, making him run around with those cav.
Yeah, and this is a fairly low hunt map as well, so the longer those Ulans are allowed to just kind of continue to run around in the back there, the more damage they're going to do. Ooh, another big raid here.
Yeah, nice. Picking up 2 extra vills, definitely what he wants. Both players playing the raiding metagame here, forcing each other's vill counts down. Definitely what you want to be doing, if you can.
Yeah, unfortunately for Red here, there's a very safe coin mine in the back of Blue's base, and now with the 8 crossbow shipment, it's going to be really hard to really force the issue here into Blue's base and like actually accomplish anything. Yet at the same time, back in Red's base, things are really spread out. He doesn't really have any hunts remaining that are right up next to his town center, and so this is kind of the do or die push, and unfortunately that's not the position he wants to be in. Minutemen coming, crossbows online.
Yeah.
This pressure looking like it's not going to be super effective.
Yeah, the Explorer in hand combat, I think it was, and the cavalry, of course, they're slowing him down. The Minutemen doing lots of damage, because those units are being snared. The Red Musketeers are not able to escape here, and of course at this point, Blue, Red has, yes, he sent 700 and 600 wood for the housing, but as a result of that, is really not as far ahead in villages as he could be if he hadn't gone with sort of double Rex pressure.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the more important thing is he's probably soon going to be in a situation where he will never gather hunts again, just due to the fact that there are going to be, at least 3, maybe 4 Ulans left on the field after this little skirmish here in the middle of the map. And then he has to deal with the situation that there's Ulans running around constantly harassing his villagers in what little hunt does remain in his base. And that just spells, bad news. This is the point where having your barracks is way out front like this and being split up across the middle of the map is going to be absolutely detrimental in just keeping your economy alive. And we're going to see that very soon. Lots of villagers being forced to garrison here in red space.
Yeah. Prince of Kabul now on the way up to the next age, though. No, he doesn't lose a villager there. Close, though. Certainly using these cavalry to harass. But yes, Prince of Kabul now on his way up to the next age, and we know Germany is pretty scary in age 3 with access to some shipments with the 3 extra cavalry for each one. At this point, DJSemla does have a stronger economy, but only by a little bit. And that is the only thing really going for him. He's not going to be aging up any time at all. And he's going to have to deal with, that fortress age composition somehow. It's going to be pretty tough. We'll see what well, I don't know what he can do.
I don't actually think he can do anything. Like he's probably best off just resigning and hoping for a better.
He's got an 8-vil lead. That's all he's got going for him. Is 8 vils you don't think it's enough to?
He has to be able to ride out 8 skirm, 7 skirm, 9 Ulan with an 8-vil advantage, and I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe if he had managed to snipe the trading post or something like that, or if he had killed a significant number of settler wagons, or if Prince of Kabul was running out of resources, something like that. There has to be another sort of win condition going for red, and at this point there's not. His villagers are running around the middle of the map. His opponent is aged, has better units, better upgrades, and is fairly even in eco. And as that next shipment comes out, whatever it may be, 9 Ulans, 8 skirms, 3 Ulans, etc., this is just going to get exponentially more difficult to deal with.
That's right, especially with these villagers now that are effectively, well, some of them are doing range damage. I'm not necessarily sure if that was what he wanted. But yeah, these, going to be threatened, not going to be able to gather here. No more units coming out for him. 3 hussars coming out, though. I guess this is a bit desperate.
Yep. And we definitely have a shipment online from Kabul.
I'm expecting,
right now.
9 Ulans I'm expecting. He does have that veterancy for his cavalry already done, and it would make sense to send about a shipment of them if you're upgrading that particular unit there. But
it's just a matter of time, right? The clock is ticking until that shipment arrives, and then there's just
10 musks do come out of the 2 barracks, though, and these, of course, are going to fend off the pressure currently on his hunts. But for how long is really the question. He has lost quite a relevant amount of villagers already. Here's the shipment, you say?
Yeah, 8 skirms. And 8 that's skirms. Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I think I probably would have just tried to brute force my way with 9 Ulan here, because as you mentioned, he does have the veterancy upgrade. The speed advantage of the Ulans running around the map is absolutely huge here. He knows his opponent has exposed villagers. He knows his opponent has a very weak military force, and Ulans can capitalize on that, just in spades in every way possible. But obviously 8 skirms is going to be perfectly fine. He's still reinforcing with batches of Ulans as well, so not like he's going to lack the raiding pressure anytime soon. And as we can see, Semla forced into the middle portion of the map, and now he's going to have to deal with the bleak reality of veteran skirmishers picking away at his musketeers.
It's so wow, that's not what you want to see. That's really bad. But yes, any sort of unit shipment here is really what he needs. And skirmishers, of course, going to add to his composition, and really a quite effective unit versus the musketeers that Semla has been, sort of making all game. And certainly something that's, going to help him keep his cavalry alive versus these musks. Really now, there is nothing Semla can do. More importantly, these barracks are going down. He's been forced off that hunt, and I guess he's looking for a new one. Yeah,
just looking for somewhere to gather where he's out of vision of Ulans, and looks like he maybe has found that down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. But for how long? I mean, imagine the 8 Ulans show up there. How absolutely perilous of a situation that is for those villagers down there.
Yeah, this tower buying him a little bit of time though, but 250 wood is not what you want to be spending on time.
Yeah. Yeah.
This tower is depressing. At this point, though, Kabul, if he knew the location of his opponent's villages, that would be, of course, perhaps the better place to go. But really, just going to bring this tower on and then steamroll ahead right into Semla's base here. Collecting from berry bushes as well. You know, there's really no safe place for Semla to gather, and it feels at this point Germany is.
He spotted it. He knows. He sees the dead hunts down here. Like, this just means he's got this area of the map scouted. Like, you can see the dead animals in the fog, right? Seeing like 6 dead animals, you know he's got a whole lot of villagers. And I mean, here comes the result.
Oh, there it is. DJSemla has resigned. The first game going to PrinceofKabul. A German victory there on Arkansas. Definitely, I liked what he did though. Semla starting, with the aggressive British, not necessarily what PrinceofKabul would be expecting.
Yeah, and it just comes down to he only got out that 1 musk, right? If he gets out like five musks, or like his first batches are a little bit more efficient at the very least, and he can deal with those starting Ulans and get the pressure kind of going back in the other direction and not have to worry about the raids and stuff like that in the very early portions of the game. A build like this has potential to work, but unfortunately when he only gets 1 musket out in the first batch, he loses all sorts of pressure, and the 2 Ulans that come with the first shipment are just enough to push him back, and from that point forward he's just playing catch up, and that's not a position you want to be playing from when you're playing against a German player, especially one of Prince's caliber.
His whole build was effectively 30 seconds slower, or however long it takes a musketeer to train as a result of that. But also, he didn't not having had the pressure there means that all of the other benefits PrinceofKabul gets from not being pressured. But yes, that is fairly quick victory to PrinceofKabul. Let's get out of this game and head into our next one. This is a best of 5. Plenty more to come in this series, and of course we have a different map for every single game. For those of you who didn't know, the map pool is randomized for every single player. They have a set map pool. They know what their map pool is going to be, but each player has a different set map pool for each different best of whatever series. So, going into game number 2 here, PrinceofKabul and DJSemla. Semla.
Whoops.
Semla. They can no longer play German and German and British respectively, since they have already used those civilizations. Now that will continue. Every civ they play, they can no longer use until the reset happens. I'm not sure which game, but there will be a reset, and I'm sure we will. Yes.
I think it's at the midway point, right? So after 3 games, they can replay.
I think it is as well. Yeah. But immediately, DJSemla. Switching from British to French here. Looks like French is his next civilization, his go-to civ for the next map, which is going to be Cascade Range by the looks of it. Definitely a good choice, I think, French on Cascade Range, a map which is...
No trading post, importantly.
Yeah, and French don't need a trading post. But also, I think, if you're going for like that sort of map control presence...
Mm-hmm. I mean, CDBs help you out as well on low hunt maps as well, right? Because you can use them to push around the map and help secure locations that you would otherwise maybe need to be a little bit worried about. Looks like Prince taking India, and I think that's the civ that I would choose on this map. India, obviously quite good on low hunt, not very trading post reliant, and I think just a really strong selection on this map in general.
Yeah, certainly. The Agra springs to mind as being a very useful building on a low hunt map like Arkansas. I mean,
well, and plus you have like the 2 little ponds, right? And if you can park your Agra right in the middle of that, you get essentially free vision on pretty much that whole pass just by parking your Agra fort right in the middle of that as well. So certainly something to be considered as well.
All right, so Semla looks like he's just going to be rejoining. Perhaps there was a little issue with greening up there. Sometimes that happens. But PrinceofKabul fairly happy to just click in as India. Semla, was clicking in as France, but that was before his opponent had selected his civilization. We'll have to see if he's happy with the matchup. Perhaps he will, change. He's got every right and he has every opportunity to choose any other civilization in the game except Ottoman and Iroquois, which have been disabled in this event. And he cannot play as the British, which he used last game. We'll see what he chooses. But I think he's fairly confident with French on this map.
With French, yeah. I mean, if he's not gonna play French, I think he has to play something like China or something as well. Like he's got to play a build order oriented civ, like a boomy civs are pretty much a no go. Like just like straight boomy civs, like Brits and Japs and stuff like that. I think are
very tough to play on this map.
They're pretty soft already in several areas, and this is just something where India could abuse them pretty hard.
I think so. All right, so we're just gonna see if Semla can click in. If not, it looks like we're all gonna have to restart the clients. Sometimes this happens. I do not understand why, but
Oh shoot! Was that last game recorded?
Well, it was streamed, but I don't know.
Because they're supposed to record it.
Yeah, well, that's not our responsibility. But if we notice it, we ought to say so. But
yeah.
Yes.
What other civilizations do you think are good on Cascade Range?
I mean, so there's less traditional. There's like something like Dutch could be like okay. Like I mean Dutch isn't in general considered a very strong game, but if you were to play a really long series and you were have to go 4, 5, 6 civs deep into okay. If you're going 4, 5, 6 civs deep, then maybe something like Dutch would be good, but it's hard to know. Ports aren't going to ever really be good.
Ports.
This isn't recorded again, but
is it not? Should we? Hopefully, I cancelled it. Should we? We should get them to record
cancel. It.
Yeah. We'll have to restart that and let them know, or perhaps it will just bug out anyway. No, it's not going to bug out.
We can only pray.
That would be the most convenient bug out ever. But Azamka, definitely a good map maker. Knows what he's doing. Doesn't bug out too much.
At least offer them the chance to restart.
I think they just should straight up restart.
I don't know, but like I don't know if it's the tournament rules that it has to be recorded or it doesn't count. Like that's general tournament standard.
It's just like we want these games sort of how do you say, sort of created in a I don't know, like put in history. Like we want the recorded game as proof on the forums that it happened and that can be downloaded. It just feels a shame to not embody that.
I don't think these guys. We don't care what the tournament rules to record. I mean, I personally, whether or not I can rewatch the game, to me it doesn't matter, but if like whoever the tournament admin is going to say like in order to have these games counted, you have to have them recorded, like Semla looking for an name to get game 1 redone.
Game 1 replay. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, but this could end up being like, a 45-minute absolutely sort of crazy game, and if it wasn't recorded, that would be a shame.
Yeah. So, I mean, you and I were both there to, watch the first game, and if there ever, becomes any controversy over it, it was one-sided, and I mean, we can vouch for Prince that it was.
The stream VOD exists as well.
Yeah.
There's no yeah. But it is nice to have the recorded game. Like that's a different way of experiencing Age of Empires 3.
Yeah.
Wow, how frustrating. We could be like 3 minutes into the game by now. Alright, so for those of you who do not know, we will be covering, or at least I will briefly go over the map. I think we ought to do that, since these are new maps. Shout out to the relevant people. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to game number 2 of the Summer Championships. This is the round of 32 between PrinceofKabul and DJSemla. Semla,
damn it.
Semla. The more
you know he's gonna rewatch these games. He's just gonna be like, these guys, I can't believe they just like said my name wrong over and over and over. We need to have like We need to have a Selma counter. Like every time we say Selma, like it just like pops
It's
up
just
on
like
the
every
screen.
time now I like think about his name, I'm concerned. Am I saying it right? Am I
Yeah.
doing it right? Yeah. But yeah, this map is Cascade Range. It's a brand new map created by the community by none other than Gaia. He was the creator of all of the maps being used in this tournament. Actually, some brand new maps for Age of Empires 3. Definitely nice to see. And the feature of this map is that it is a very low hunt map. And actually is a very low resource map in general. There's plenty of trees, there's always enough wood, but actually the coin mines are all tin mines, which only have 1,500 coin in them, not 2,000 like your regular silver mine, not 4,000 like your gold mine, 1,500. And the hunts are, quite few and far between, and there's actually just, berries. It looks like there's more than there actually is on the mini-map due to the berries that are just randomly dotted around this map. This is a sort of fast and bloody map with a short rush distance. It is definitely an interesting one and creates for some fairly sort of fast-paced, interesting games. But spawning in the north of the map in the colour blue, we do have Prince-of-Kabul, picking himself up a 40 wood treasure with one of his monks, and so far has already got a 40 wood treasure as well. 2 40 wood treasures, not too bad for India at all, of course. They make their villages out of wood, so, well, wood for any civilization is good, we all know that. But in the south of the map, in the colour red, we do have DJSemla playing.
Semla, we got it. You done it.
I
You
did
it.
it! Playing as the French, has gone with that early market there. Got his hunting dogs at 1 minute 17. Really nice and crisp again. Really nice on the ball and early. That hunting dog's definitely a good time for that.
Yeah, I mean, from the 2 games that I've watched Semla play now, like his early game macro seems to be pretty on point, which is something that a lot of people like surprisingly struggle with. I mean, there's not a lot to do early in Age of Empires 3, and so like a lot of people are like, well, the first 5 minutes of the game are boring, but there's lots of little tiny things that you could do like to get like nice little advantages. And from what I've seen, Semla actually does those things pretty well here. So good positioning of his hunts right underneath his town center. I'd love if he shot that elk that has 1 HP right underneath his TC to start transitioning his villagers over to that one next. But other than that, yeah, as you mentioned, got his hunting dogs nice and early and got off to a good start.
Yeah, definitely. The quantity of 40 wood treasures that Kabul is picking up is absolutely crazy. There's another one he's going for here as well.
Yeah, there's one up here as well. Still free for the taking.
Off to a good start, as India is definitely really nice to have all that sort of extra wood.
Yep.
But yeah, I think Age 1 can be super interesting. There are like a ton of things that do that, high level things you don't necessarily notice unless they're pointed out to you that are really intricate about AoE 3.
Yeah, well, especially with like a civ like French, right, where you're given an extra scout, like that native scout can be so obnoxious early in the game, like doing damage to your elephants, going invisible. Like it's really annoying to like have to be considering that native scout and stuff. Like in any civ with any sort of like little extra thing like that can be annoying to deal with. But Prince moving some villagers forward, looks like he's going to drop that aggro fort right in the middle of the map, secure his half, get some line of sight, and I definitely like the positioning that he's putting this in.
Yeah, definitely. You like it straight up in the middle of the map.
Straight in the middle. Well, and then like consider where the native posts are. So with the native post on each side, like basically giving him a wall, he has from this point all the way up to this point completely covered with vision in terms of like what he can and cannot see, which is basically giving him this big pocket of room in the middle between his town center and the aggro fort, where there's like this coin mine and some of these hunts over here to the right hand side, where he can kind of just park all of his stuff in the middle of that little pocket and make it very, very difficult for the red player to ever like try and harass those resources. So has a lot of vision, has a lot of map control just with the aggro fort being there, and we'll see how Semla deals with it.
We will. It covers a surprising amount of ground, actually, as you mentioned with the 2 native posts. There's only those 2 sort of entrances on either side, which are at opposite ends of the map that the French player can actually get through to get at him on the other side there. But we'll have to see what sort of these players have in mind. Of course, at the moment, very obvious things. The first shipment for Prince of Kabul, the Indian player, being distributivism, that 1.25 wood treckle. 3 villages coming out for the French player. 400 wood, Semla has just Age up with. I'll just see what their
it looks-
first shipments are and sort of what they have in mind here. But France, by the looks of it, starting with a stable. This could be one of two things. I suspect, though, he'll be having a colonial age agenda here. Going to lay down a barracks as well and send 700 wood as his first shipment.
I actually expect the opposite.
Oh, do you?
I think this is a situation where France needs to play an age 3 against India, and if you get drawn into a long age 2 fight, especially on a low resource map against India, you're going to lose. And so I think you need to have some sort of tech advantage. So I actually really respect his opinion to be doing this just like straight up 5 cav semi-FF. I think if he wasn't doing a 5 cav semi-FF, you could stabilize and like he wouldn't die, but he's not really afraid of dying anyways. It's not like he got 10-10 or anything like that.
Yeah,
and what he really needs to be able to deal with the India player is some sort of tech advantage. He needs dragoons. He needs skirmishers. He maybe needs 2 Felks to take down the aggro fort and like threaten the infrastructure of the blue player. And just massing Musk and Huss isn't going to be the way to do that. And so I actually really like his decision to go with a semi-cav FF here.
All right. I think what I was thinking is, this map is fairly low on hunt. That playing, sort of a later.
A brawlier style.
But actually, to be fair, there's not any pressure from India right now, and to be fair, you're going to be up in the next stage, pretty swiftly, with units to defend with.
Yeah, I think that's like a misconception that a lot of people like in the captain to majorist range have, is that like India's this big scary 10-10ing scary civ, and that's not the case. Like, in fact, when India 10-10s me, like, I almost always feel more comfortable than when they play back like this, because when they're playing back like this, like, you don't know exactly what they're doing. You know their eco is going to be damn strong. You know that they're going to have insane unit compositions. I mean, no other civ in the game has skirmishers and dragoons in the second age like they do. So compositionally they're going to outclass you, and plus on top of that they have like one of the best musketeer units in the game. So I actually prefer to play against a 10-10 than this current style of India, just because I think it's easier to read and it's easier to adapt to back in your base. And plus, India kind of trashes his own eco during the process of that. So,
trashes his own eco. So
well, he does, right? He has
so
to he has to age up like with reckless abandon, and things just don't get off on it as clean of a foot as they do here otherwise. And
it's more all in as well.
It's super all in, and as a result, it can be awkward to play against that all in, but you at least know that your opponent is all inning you, and you just know that if you can weather the storm, you probably win the game, because he doesn't have eco, and you probably do, or at least have more than he does. But looks like Selma, I did it. Semla is going to be aging up. That's the other good thing about this channel. You don't have to wear as much of a filter, right, as you do on.
Not as much.
For sure. Yeah. As much. I will still try and filter myself as much as possible, but yeah, he is aging up, and I do like that decision. It looks like he's going to be able to get up with no issues, and should probably have a shipment about ready as well by the time he gets aged up. So actually, by the looks of it, he's doing a slow age up, which I'm not a big fan of. But
yeah, he does look like he's doing a slow age up. Yeah. He's going to be going up with 6 skirmishers, imagine. Here comes the Sepoy army. If he was up by now, he could be training military units with the resources he's stockpiled. Have some skirmishers out pretty soon to deal with that. But back in his opponent's base, 5 hussars are getting actually stomped on by the centuries here. They've been snared, and now going back. Where is he going? Oh dear, that's all of his 5 cav going down 1,000 resources. No raiding pressure really going to be happening sort of at all, and also just straight up losing quite a lot of units almost for free there. It looks like he's also going to lose this house, which is really not something France wants. He doesn't...
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Shit, that was my bad.
Super.
I'm trying to figure out which one turns off the turns off the timer, and I accidentally pushed the one that pauses it.
Yeah, I was doing F11. I wanted to see if he had a shipment. We both did that at the same time.
Yeah.
6 skirmishes gonna be popping out, I imagine, with Minutemen, and now gonna force off these Sepoy from the house there. Actually, no Minutemen. I guess Minutemen would have been an overreaction. Really, these Sepoy are not going to hang around when there are skirmishes, because there's no way you could kill these skirmishes. All Semla is going to do is kite all day long with those. He's now going to get away, but still, losing a house, and unfortunately, though unrelated, all of his cavalry as well.
Yeah. He's also been stockpiling a lot of resources, and this is what happens. I mean, this is an artifact of using the slow age up, right? Like, you continue to gather resources while you're slowly aging, and you don't want to sink your resources into units that aren't going to be upgraded automatically on your age up. So he doesn't want to be like making musketeers or anything like that. Yeah. But at the same time, he's only got a single Rax and a single stable, and if you stockpile all those resources, how are you going to really invest them?
Here comes the 3 cavalry. He's not got those dragoons nearby. He might lose quite a lot of these skirmishes, though. Is going to be able to kill these off. Actually, the skirmishes are okay. Minutemen being called. Carrera de Bois getting in this fight as well. Going to pick off those cavalry, and then actually he's got the compositional advantage here. Lots of skirmishes versus straight up sepoy. I'm not sure if Prince of Kabul really wants to hang around much longer. Gurkhas are reinforcing, but that's not going to be what he needs to deal with the Semla skirms.
Yeah, and at the same time, though, like, forcing the CDB to fight and not gather is kind of a win in itself. Sure, Prince is losing a lot of stuff, but at the same time, he idled a lot of villagers for a long time, and we can see Semla's eco right now is pretty in the gutter compared to Prince of Kabul's. Wow. Prince of Kabul, 36 vills and 2 wood trickles versus, just the 25 CDB.
25 times 1.25 is 31.25 vills. That gives us a very clear, well, it's now 26. He's got an extra 1.25 on top of that figure as well. But definitely behind. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely hurts. And plus, I mean, the upgrades are really good for Prince of Kabul as well, right? Like, he's got Imperial Bureaucracy, he's got Flumen Ditching, so he's got, like, all of the...
here comes the Sours. He's got what he needs, and 5 of those Dragoons of Semla are away in his opponent's base, raiding, and here comes the Sentry. He's going to, hurt those Dragoons as well. They should, or he'd like to have them back home at this point so he could kill off these Sowars a bit faster, which are really, tearing through those skirmishes, or at least, making it hard, well, killing some of them off, and therefore making him less competitive back here since, well, I mean, obviously more units in this fight would be nice.
Yeah, and on top of this, all of his CDB are very exposed. If he can't clean this up, especially any melee units that are remaining after this fight are just going to run amok over here on these villagers. And now that he's spotted it, seen it all, pressure is really on Semla to clean this up efficiently. And if he can't do so, his CDB are all trapped over here on the right side of his base.
Yeah. Those 5 Dragoons now returning to this fight here. He is going to, clean this up and stabilize, but, having had to have used some of those villages sort of fight, and, there's going to be reinforcing units from India, who has the superior economy, as we mentioned here. France, manages to push that back, but it still took a lot of damage doing it.
Yeah, but this is the point that I was, like, getting at before, though, right? Like, so had he not aged up, and had he, like, spent all of his resources into brawling like this in Age 2, he would probably be about in the same situation, but he wouldn't be aged. But now look, he's aged up. He has the ability to ship 2 falconets. He's stabilized somewhat. He's behind in economy, but that's okay. He doesn't really need to be ahead of India in economy when he's got this kind of a tech advantage. And now he can send scary stuff of his own. He's got 3 cursors out on the field. He's got shadow-teched dragoons and skirmishers out on the field. Yeah. He's got the potential to send 2 falconets. And now we look at a situation where Prince of Kabul is not aged up, nowhere near close to having the resources required to age up himself, and being in a pretty awkward spot where it's a low resource map. And although India's not as resource dependent, he's starting to run out of hunts. His coin mines are starting to become an issue, and now all of a sudden there's this window of opportunity for Semla to push out across the map and really start doing some lasting damage to
I think
to
that's what he's doing with these Dragoons here. He's pushing out, gonna start push these off the hunt there and send them all the way back to the town center, and there's no military units sort of nearby to defend that. India are actually going to push forward now, knowing that his opponent's army is out away from home, and as a result of that, he's going to do pressure himself. Lots of exposed Carreras there. If they're seen, could be quite devastating. Sours definitely, having hand attack, are far more effective at killing villages, especially French villages, which have no melee resist, than obviously the Dragoons here are killing these villages. This is not moving.
Not good. This is not good. There they go.
Yeah. Oh, he's losing quite a few there. And there's nothing.
There's so many on low HP.
Are we going to
That was
see a
actually
base trade?
I don't know. That was actually, I think, a bit of a mistake there by Prince. He got so many of those CDB low, and so many of them didn't die as a result. I actually think Semla came out in an okay position on top of all of that. He's even killing some more villagers here in the middle portion of the map as well. Things definitely took a turn for the crazy, and that's not where those skirms want to be.
No, that's not. Oh dear, he needs to get those dragoons back. It looks like the trees are causing passing issues, and as a result of that, he's going to have more skirms alive than he perhaps should have. Does manage to get away with it, but that could have been, could have lost a lot more than he did. At this point in time, though, still in a reasonable spot. Didn't lose too many villages, as you mentioned. A lot of them got low, but didn't actually die, so it wasn't punished too hard here. And this is actually not too bad, I think, this fight, especially since his opponent's cavalry can't really get to those skirmishes too easily.
He sent 4 dragoons as his previous card. I'm a bit questioning on that as a call. I'm also questioning the position that he's currently standing in. He's in a bit of an awkward spot here, and he needs to be very careful because if he gets trapped here and some sort of units pop out, like imagine if 5 sepoy pop out here on top of those dragoons, that could be absolutely brutal. So he needs to be a bit careful here that he doesn't overstay his welcome and get caught in a bad way.
Yeah, that's true. I think. Well, his opponent's got nothing but cucumbers left. Oh, there's the shipment of tiger claws, though, and they're right next to his infantry. But fortunately,
that's what I was afraid of.
Tiger, a big power spiking unit, sort of like mercenaries, such as these tiger claws, is going to be really quite tough for him to deal with because, there's nothing. You're okay. You're fighting this fight. Suddenly, a reinforcing batch of units gives them that power spike in the battle, and since you're so close to where the units spawn, they get they get into the fight instantly and. Yeah, and at this point now, lost all his units. It looks like the blue has a commanding lead.
Yeah, it's not like a map like Great Plains, right, where you just like run with your tail back home to your 6 million bison sitting underneath your town center. Now you're in this position where all of your CDB are low HP, wandering out on the map, and there's only really berries left, and things all of a sudden became very, very awkward with that huge swing for PrinceofKabul. Going to be very difficult for Red to recover from that.
Yeah, just collecting nothing from there. I mean, if he could go back and collect bison under his TC, if this was Great Plains, could be good. But now, PrinceofKabul has this scary army, can control the map, and that really, also obviously comes hand in hand with controlling the resources, as we're alluding to, and therefore the game as well. What can he do at this point? He's got some cuirassiers out. He's got 5 cuirassiers. That's definitely quite strong. There's quite a lot of those. His opponent has almost exclusively Gurkha, though if we take a look at the queue there, we'll see that he's got 5 Zambarak in queue, and that is exactly what he needs to do. He identified that his army is weak to cavalry, and now sort of training the units which defend against cavalry. But if 2 cannons arrive from Semla as well, if he can get into an engagement. He has got the better composition, perhaps not the numbers.
He needs kind of like a miracle volley from these 2 falconets, and that's what I was kind of alluding to with the 4 dragoon shipment there previously. Like if the 2 falconets had come a little bit earlier and he had grouped everything up the front side of his base so that it was all together, and he had his anti-cav pulled together to defend 2 falconets, and he was just pushing the front of the base against what at the time was a fairly Gurkha heavy or at least infantry focused composition from the blue India player. He probably would have had some decent success pushing out across the middle of the map with a 2 falconet shipment, but now I think the mass is just a little bit too big. There's just a few too many camels. Obviously the tiger claws pose a fairly severe threat, and now, barring some sort of, absolute great volleys from these falconets, they're not going to be nearly as effective as they were 2 or 3 minutes ago.
And now pushing out on this aggro fort as well, right on top of where the units are going to be spawning away from home. It's not like there are any buildings or trees nearby that he can use to create sort of issues with the units walking, trying to get into combat. Cuirassiers.
Not the greatest anti-cav unit, it turns out.
Yeah, it's trying to defend his cannons desperately, and here just getting overwhelmed, and that is spelling another defeat. We'll see the GG, I would imagine, fairly shortly.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to recover from that. If you take a look at just the sheer number of resources he has on his half of the map, there's probably just not enough resources on his half of the map to actually like pull together enough units to kill what Prince currently has. There's just too many.
He's actually only got 12,760 coin left. His mine is completely out, and the only other money he has access to is also being collected, and only has 1,000 left. And there's actually really not very much coin on this map. It's fairly interesting. Actually, the only remaining full coin mine on the map is this one, and having said that, it's not even full. Like, this map does not, like, you can't really have a game last longer than 25 minutes because the natural coin, and probably hunt as well, will expire. Yeah. Wow, I like this map, but another quick game, and, well, not so quick, it's actually 20 minutes. It was a
20-minute game.
Yeah, but
it's just action-packed, lots of action.
Yeah, PrinceofKabul does take it. I think, though, looking back on it, Semla actually had well, in my opinion, quite a nice build. Going up with the 6 skirms. Yes, it looked, like normally you don't want to do that because you want to get up fast to the next day so you can start making units right away and you can start sending that Fortress Age shipment that you have access to. But it doesn't have a trading post on this map, and as a result of that aging up fast, you might not have a shipment ready anyway to send, and you have sort of some extra time because you need to generate more XP before you can even send a shipment, and you'll be skipping some, say, perhaps 700 wood because, you don't have enough XP to send it, and sort of aging up slowly gives you some extra time, sort of, to collect it. As a result, though, we did see all of the negative things that come with doing that, but I think, despite saying French was good on this map, it's still, this build would have benefited from a trading post, and Semla did not have that the entire game.
I almost wonder what would have happened had he done some sort of like proxy dual racks expo pike from like the northeast side of this aggro fort, and just use that to like control the resources. I mean, as you mentioned, there's not a lot of coin on this map, and if there is a resource that India really does need to really kind of get the ball rolling, it's probably coin, right? Most of your upgrades cost a fair amount of coin. All of your units do cost a fair amount of coin. And so maybe like just relying on that fact and, just saying I'm only going to focus on map control, wood, and food, and like cut coin completely out of the picture and just focus on applying pressure with Expo Pike, especially if you think there's a chance that the India player could play greedy and try and get his aggro fort here in the middle of the map to secure, what he thinks is decent map control and vision control in the middle portion of the map. There could be, some openings for dual racks crossbow pike from, a proxied location like the north or the left side of the base to be, maybe somewhat successful here.
I think so. But that does conclude the game. Shall we head out into the next one?
Yep.
The score is 2-0 in PrinceofKabul's favor. What do you think he ought to have done then? Like, he managed to get up, he sort of stabilized, had the tech advantage. Do you wait a bit longer before pushing? I mean, you can't wait too long because your opponent has a stronger economy.
He got cut off a couple of times in awkward spots where he had there was that one instance, right, where he had 5 dragoons raiding across the middle of the map where he really needed them back at home. Another thing that really hurt him was his decision to age up slowly. Because he aged with the marksman, sure, it's great to age with and get 6 skirms, but he could fast age and make 5 skirms. I pointed out during the middle of the game that a big part of why you fast age is so that you can spend your resources on more relevant things. And by aging slowly, when he got aged up, he just had 1,200 unspent resources that he didn't want to sink into things like musketeers and hussar because he was planning on making dragoons and skirmishers and other shadow tech units when he got aged up. And so had he aged up fast, not used his dragoons to raid and instead of kept them as a primary anti-cav unit to deal with those sours when they did come, and then used his first 8 skirmisher shipment and started making those shadow tech dragoons, skirmishers stuff out of his barracks and stable very early in the game instead of relying on the marksman age up to give him that initial little spike. I think he could have sped up his build an extra 30 to 60, maybe even 80 seconds, and at the same time still accomplished most of what he still was doing. Would have really helped him.
Yeah, I think so too. By the looks of it, though, Tibet is our next map. Another map that Gaia has made. We'll go over it for those of you who do not know it, though I suspect the vast majority of you are familiar with it. They're just going to have to go and get the UI version. We're pretty dependent on the UI version of every single map to cast. Due to all the extra
this
bonus
is the
features.
UI version, though, right? Like,
No, this is sort of regular Tibet without UI.
It says custom map set up as 1v1 with observer mode.
That's a lie.
Okay,
It should say UI in the title, otherwise it won't work.
I see.
Yeah, Tibet UI 1.7 is the required map. But PrinceofKabul and DJSemla, well, PrinceofKabul at least, can no longer play as India or French, I believe. That is correct, right?
I think that is correct. I think the civs reset after this next game.
Yeah, and DJSemla, or is it Selma? No, it's Semla.
Semla.
Cannot play as the British or the French now either.
Yeah.
So they have every civilization except Ottoman and Iroquois and the ones we mentioned open to them. We'll have to see what they select. The next map being Tibet. What are your go-to civs, do you think?
I think like Germany and China. I think FF-oriented civs do really well on this map, just because it's a little bit bigger. There's a lot of room behind your base to like kind of play safe. So Prince of Kabul looks like picking China. I think China a very strong choice on this particular map. I think Germany is a good choice on this map if Semla plays that. Looks like looks like I managed to call the two civs without actually knowing the player civs pool. So and I think that they're reasonable choices. I think these are really strong civs on this map.
Yeah, definitely lots of potential for walling, and which is, useful as one of these civilizations, among other things that this map comes with.
Yeah. And we're seeing a resurgence of China in this tournament as well, which makes me happy because, China's always kind of like been a dark horse. Like, people have always been on the fence. Like, China's either, oh my god, they're so strong, they're so OP, or like, China sucks, LOL, free win civ. And it seems like people have always teetered back and forth on their opinions on China, and it seems like China's starting to shift back into favor, where people are like, you know what, this is actually pretty dang good. The fact that you can make 6 million units in the Fortress Age for free is a pretty valuable thing in this game, in the current state of the meta. So
6 million units for free.
That's about the number it is. If you consider how many units come like pouring out of like the mini orifices that are China.
I have said this before, that they do have a particularly large anal cavity from which they source units out of nowhere. That is China in a nutshell.
It's just like a random like batch of 60 units popping out of the Summer Palace, and then like, oh, there's 5 disciples coming from my monk, and oh, here comes a batch of territorial army, and oh, I'm sending 5 meteor hammers, and then like before you know it, there's just like intervention like redcoats and like just stuff like flying at you from all like sides, and it's like, I just killed your army, how do you have like 28 units again like 20 seconds later? It's like just not fair.
China definitely quite good, and we'll see what China does achieve, and we'll see exactly how good they are in on Tibet versus Semla, or DJSemla at least. Against, anyway, yeah. So in the south of the map, in the colour blue, we do have DJSemla piloting the Germans on Tibet, by the looks of it. Starting with 200 wood. Again, a nice start for Germany. Can get that trading post up if he so desires, which I highly imagine he will desire. Definitely good. China, though, in the north of the map, in the colour, of course, red, Prince of Kabul will have a similar... Well, actually, he won't have the similar option open. China obviously quite like to grab the villages, and as a result of that, can't really get a trading post. We'll see. Well, I don't think so. It's possible though, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, well, probably not. But on this map, you do get the cows, the yaks, and that is definitely a bonus to China that Germany does not have available to them.
Yep, that's one of the like great little things, like just small caveats of China that just makes them even better on livestock maps as well, right? Because like traditionally, like one of the things you have to consider with straight FF civs is at some point you're probably going to get harassed to a point where you no longer have hunts like immediately available to you. And so with a civ like China where you can just fatten cows for free, I mean, a lot of civs will just, if they're straight FFing, they'll just eat their cows anyways, but it's like, well, this cow only had 89 food on it. Like, I'm not really getting that much food out of it. But
Yeah.
China, if you find a couple of those yaks early on, like these yaks will be basically fully fed by the time he's run out of these, first set of hunts in his base. And at that point, he can transition over into, that very strong economic spike that he'll get out of those yaks. So definitely a nice little boost there.
Yeah, 400 food apiece, gathering at 2 food per second. Definitely, extra hunt that you otherwise wouldn't have, but also fast gathering food. Yep, definitely really nice. Both
So good.
civilizations are, as we've been alluding to, Fortress Age sort of orientated ones. Both players are going to have sort of this timing pressure build in mind where they power up their economy early on with settler shipments, or at least that's what Germany will be doing. And then they'll be heading up to the Fortress Age pretty quick, probably powering into it with a big coin shipment. And then making lots of Fortress Age units, which are obviously, stronger and have access to those sort of stronger shipments. And that does preface the matchup. The question is, though, which civilization... what do you think of it? Both doing similar things, but China perhaps less eco-focused than compared to Germany, which sort of does that sort of semi-style where he'll be sending lots of villager shipments. He'll probably have a stronger economy in the long run, but China perhaps the stronger mass earlier.
And one thing that so this exact matchup was played on this map between Samwise 12 and Mongo 10, and they were actually in these exact positions, exact colors, like it's deja vu, because I just watched this replay earlier today, and Sam was playing China in the upper right hand corner, and he FF'd, and Mongo killed like 3 villagers before Sam got aged up with a semi-FF.
Yeah.
And it was like fairly effective. I'm like, ooh, like Sam actually doesn't look to be in that good of a position in this game. And then he shipped Intervention, and he stood in this gap and like fought Mongo's army with basically just Intervention and like a couple of arquebusiers. And he just like absolutely just dumpstered Germany's entire army. And so... just that shipment is so good against Germany. I mean, if you consider,
we go there, 75 food, I think gonna be. I think blue gets. Yeah, blue picks it up.
Blue got it.
Yeah, green. Sorry, red, green. Where the hell did green come from? Red taking all the damage for it, but not being rewarded. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and so just that shipment in general against Germany. And muskets are already good against Germany, just because Germany doesn't have a musketeer unit of their own, and. Just the jack of all tradesness of the musketeer is very efficient against Germany, and then when you take into consideration that they're those very extra strong consulate musks, just that much stronger as well. So I think we're definitely going to see that card at some point in this matchup, but I wouldn't be super surprised to see Prince-of-Kabul age up and just immediately slam down Intervention as his first card. In fact, I'm kind of expecting it. It'll be on Germany to decide how he's going to deal with that, because in the game that I saw between Mongo and Sam, it looked very difficult for Germany to deal with that card.
Yeah, I can imagine. The efficiency of that card is off the charts anyway. Definitely a very strong one. But both players now heading on up to the Colonial Age, and I would imagine 700 coin is going to be China's first shipment. No messing around with this, Civ. You collect nothing but food, and send some coin, get up to the next stage, go. However, with DJSemla here, we're expecting to be laying down a stable with some of this wood and 2 houses as well to support some population. Get a little bit of cavalry out early on whilst he sends those really, really powerful sort of German eco shipments. We do have 3 settler wagons. Holy crap, the equivalent of 6 villages. And of course, they're going to get some extra cavalry out, do some raiding, and perhaps slow down PrinceofKabul, force some of these units into the town center, slow the age up down by forcing some of the villagers off the age up wonder into the town center, and overall just being a pain, reducing the speed of the age up and reducing the amount of resources the prince will have available to him to make units with. All of those things Germany will be trying to achieve, but China's still going to get up, and as we mentioned, as Zuta alluded to, intervention and just
I also want to point out
Could
one
be
other
tough.
thing as well, that Prince-of-Kabul got 11 yaks versus the one that
Holy
DJ
crap.
got. So there's part of the issue that China can have, as I mentioned, is dealing with having food and getting contained. Oh, a little bit of
Ooh,
raid coming.
is that villager going to get picked off? Definitely what he needs. He's going to be
Yeah.
pretty happy about that. Definitely good.
Yeah, but as I was mentioning, like the one, and we can already kind of see it shaping up here, right? Like the food locations are starting to get kind of denied. We can see how the hunts are starting to wander away. But because he has 11 yaks, he's actually going to be perfectly fine, despite the fact that most civs would just like roll over and die here to Germany's raiding pressure because they would basically have nowhere to gather food.
Yeah, that's definitely true. The extra yaks is very, very relevant, just as a source of food, not because they gather faster, but because, and they're
because
starting to get
food.
because it's food. It's straight up. Also, I've forgotten
Sentries.
the point that I was going to make.
He needs sentries, yeah.
He does need sentries.
Yeah, and that's going to buy him enough time to get his age up.
Yeah, this feels really tough for Germany because, these extra, especially on this matchup, the extra food from the yaks, as you mentioned, very relevant. But also, it's very, very tough to raid China anyway, because the villages are sort of drop-off points for the units there.
And they've got the monk running in interference as well, right? He's got so many hit points. He can be put into cover mode, which just buys that much more time against basically everything. He can train units, which in themselves don't have a unit classification, so they are pretty good at just running interference against basically any type of unit, whether it's crossbows or pikes or it doesn't matter what kind of unit it is. It's going to be okay against whatever type of unit you're against.
They don't get countered by anything if they don't have a classification. Though does manage to pick up a second villager, perhaps a third as well, maybe even a fourth. The pathing of the trees there really not too good. In total, has killed 4 villagers against the Chinese player here. That is a really big pickup considering how safe this guy's food is and how many sort of drop-off points he has. That's really good, and that's exactly what Germany needs here, because China is one force to be reckoned with. More cav coming in. The sentries, though, quickly being pulled back there. The cav not ultimately going to be doing anything, but China definitely up to Fortress. Semla,
Semla is not aging.
Yeah, he's not. What is he up to?
He's dropped a Rax back in his base as well, so he doesn't have any intentions of aging. And this makes me very nervous. It's already difficult to deal with that intervention card, but then dealing with it, without skirmishers is going to make it even harder. And we can see the yaks are fattened up. He's going to have food to go for quite some time. He's got the porcelain tower kicking away. And when that first shipment comes in, despite the fact that the raids have been pretty good, the ego is starting to get a little spread out here for Semla, and he's going to have to deal with the fact that there's going to be some scary age 3 units coming his way, and he's going to have to figure out a way to navigate his way either into the 3rd age himself or come up with some sort of a solution in the 2nd age to be able to deal with the shipment spam that is about to hit him.
Yeah, he's not got anything in queue at the moment, so perhaps does still have intentions of going up, maybe mismacroed perhaps, and just chose to drop the barracks anyway because he's going to need it at some point. But by the looks of it, hasn't spent any of his resources, nothing in queue, and almost has all the resources he needs to age. It's going to be fairly late.
Picked off a build there too.
Oh, nice. Another Vil going down.
Oh, yeah. He's gotten a lot of Vil kills. PrinceofKabul's only at 23 Vils.
Yeah, it's...
Now that he is aging himself with good upgrades, he's not dead.
He's got really good upgrades. In fact, all the colonial upgrades, lots more villages than his opponent. In a good spot, though, we have to take into account China is eating effectively, twice as fast, more than twice fast food. It's effectively he has, more villages than he actually has at the moment because these cows gather twice as fast. He also has the porcelain tower in the back, which, if switched to wood, is the equivalent of 8 villages, almost, because 4 wood per second is outrageous.
Levin Chang Dao is his first card.
I guess his opponent is, has primarily cavalry, but intervention is definitely a good card too. I guess he doesn't have a consulate up yet. Maybe that's going to be his next card then.
Yeah, I would assume so. But at the same time, DJSemla is up now. He should be... he needs to be careful that he doesn't get those Ulans caught. He should be okay for the time being. He does have a card available to him to be sent right now. He can start training skirmishers as well. So with 8 skirms, Well, it needs
Come
to be
on,
sent.
Semla, you need to
Send
do
it.
something as
It needs-
well.
It needs to be sent.
It needs to be sent, but also he needs to train units, because here comes his opponent with a big, massive, well, effectively siege, which is,
Yeah.
you know,
He's
at the
missed
moment-
macroed pretty hard, actually. He's got 1,000 food and 0 coin to show for it. It's actually going to be a bit difficult.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I guess that's why he hasn't queued anything either. Still nothing in queue. He's really lucky that actually Prince of Kabul is sending all of those units in the direction of one villager. If this siege came to his base now and attacked the houses, one of which is quite far out from his base, he's not exactly got the population to spare, and he's got a lot of resources not in queue currently, and it feels as if only having just queued one Ulan.
Oh, he needs to send his cards so badly.
He does. He needs something to deal with this pressure. Jaegers,
there it
okay,
is.
he had something on the way. Is that what he needs? It's definitely a strong shipment, and
Yeah.
I think that's okay. Wow, I was not that result. Well, we were saying, oh, he's mismacroed. He's not, he's doing it
It was
wrong.
just-
He just spent
It was
1,000
taking
coin
forever. Yeah, it was
on
just taking
Jaegers.
forever for it to send.
Yeah, that shipment takes absolutely, well, it does. It takes 45 seconds to send or something like that. The thing is, though, Prince of Kabul now knows about it, and sort of the advantage of having, Jaegers is that if you pop them out in a fight, you've got this massive power spike that's, if he was in a fight, would be very, very useful. But Jaegers on their own, yeah, they're a good unit, but actually I feel like traditionally training units from your barracks and stable is more efficient in terms of resources, and the advantage of having the Jaegers is not there, because he's not popping them straight into a fight. He's not using them to any sort of advantage right now. Just having them on the board and knowing that his opponent knows they're there, he's just going back to his base and he's going to train the relevant units before he returns. And the bigger this ball of units gets for China, just the harder it is. More and more units just piling up. You don't want to let China get too many units.
On top of this, he's mismacroed. He's not able to spend the rest of his resources because of the Jaegers. It feels like this isn't a very well rehearsed build. Everything just seems a little out of sync right now.
Oh, but he's got some Ulan on the board here, and Jaegers are strong. I'm not sure if they're strong enough to fight this, but especially with so much anti-cavalry in there, which are going to be really quite good against the Ulan. But perhaps he can micro these. Maybe he can make something happen. It feels like it's going to be tough. With the cavalry
Jaegers
there.
are kind of caught here in the middle of this mix.
Oh, I so wanted it to work.
Yeah.
I felt a bit optimistic there. But, calling Minutemen, pulling all his units together in one. But this seems to happen to me every game I'm up against China. Just a big, massive ton of units comes out.
There's just 60 different unit types. There's anti-cav, ranged anti-cav, super good anti-cav, random different kinds of cav that you have to deal with. Meteor hammers and iron wheels are very different units with very different roles, but when you just kind of smash everything in there, it's so hard to get your units to be killing the right stuff at the right time. And
you've got this massive compositional advantage sort of because of so many different types of units available.
It's just got a little bit of everything, and unfortunately Germany just kind of got caught out there as well with his ranged units, and as a result lost his Jaeger, spent a lot of time just meleeing with his Jaegers.
Oh, DJSemla, that does conclude your time in this tournament. Such a bad position, he says. Of course, Prince of Kabul taking the 3-0 sweep, putting himself into the round of 16 quite convincingly. Semla is eliminated from the Summer Championships.
But he tried. I mean, he was up. He's up against Prince of Kabul. It was, let's face it, 10 PR over than he is.
And someone who's been playing for a long time that is very good. And clearly the PR says it all right.
Yeah. So I mean, he put up a good fight. As I mentioned, he definitely has some hope. Definitely someone to be watching over the next year. Definitely could improve to a point where he could be a legitimate contender, because his early game looks pretty good. His concept of what builds to do. I mean, his French build, as we mentioned, was really well thought out in the second game and stuff like that. So if he can just crispen up the some of the rough edges that he has currently, making sure that he's spending his resources efficiently and stuff like that, could definitely be a really strong player in the very near future if he just polishes up some of those little edges.
Absolutely. Definitely someone to look out for. That does conclude the series, though. Next series will be fairly soon, I think, starting at 23 GMT, so that is midnight for me. So actually in about
It's like an hour.
an hour and 25 minutes. Obviously, we had, this was only a 3 games in this best of 5. We scheduled enough time to have a longer series there. That's why, there's quite a large wait. But if the players, I think we're probably going to wait until 12 anyway. We might start early, but, some people might want to catch that particular game if they're tuning in. I don't know, though I'm not sure how relevant that actually will end up being. It was probably, I don't know, maybe we'll start if we can soon.
I don't see Kinesi online is the thing.
Yeah.
I don't. The reason I don't see him is because I don't have him added, I guess. I'm never gonna see him if he's not on my
That's
friends
probably
list.
true. Well, is he on?
I don't know. Let me look. I have to find. I can't spell his name correctly for the life of me. I'm just gonna go to the ladder and add him like a fanboy. I'm gonna go to the supremacy ladder. I'm gonna find him. There he is. I'm gonna add him. No, he's not online.
Not online. So I guess when he does turn up, we can get the next series underway. GUA is online, give you anxiety, but he is in a game currently. Practicing, I would imagine, for what is to come. Very important match for him.
I do not envy give you anxiety at all. If there was one player, I don't care if like Kinesi is like not maybe even like the best, like obviously like probably someone like Blackstar, right, just like a stronger player, but it like I would rather play against Blackstar and take my chances playing against somewhat standard play than I would against like just ramming my head into 6-dock Portuguese or something like that. I'd rather take my chances against someone playing standard play than the shenanigans that the Kinesi oftentimes employs.
Yeah. Be fun to watch though, Kinesi. Definitely.
Yes.
I think though actually, by the looks
looking
of the
forward to
chat
it.
and the fact that it's 1 AM for Kinesi, we probably will end up starting early. So stay tuned. We might not necessarily be back at 12, we might be back beforehand, but that does conclude me and Zia for the time being, I think.
Yeah, he could be like sleeping right now and just like going to be waking up early as well. Like we don't know like.
Yeah, we got to wait for him to turn up, and he's supposed to be turning up at midnight my time, at 11.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just stay online and and be watching for him, and I guess we can go live like once they get back. But for the time being, I guess that'll do it for now, and we'll be back at the very least in an hour and a half or whatever.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, what can we do to fill the time? I think Bramboy might be able to go live. Maybe Blackstar would like to. Maybe I don't know. Anyone could really.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I should do. I don't want to say it, but maybe I should do a speed run during the game time.
You can do that. I know what I'm going to do is I'm going to go eat ice cream and watch recorded games. So the thug life of Zutazuta on a Sunday.
Ice cream and AoE 3 replays.
Yeah. Sounds like a great life, doesn't it?
That sounds wonderful.
All right, well, just phone me up or whatever when we're ready to do the next series. I'll let you sort out what you want to do, whether or not you want to do a speed run or whatever,
right.
and just let me know when we're going to go again. I'm ready at any time.
All right, well, Okay, I'll see you in a bit.
All right, peace.
I don't really want to do a speed run because I want to kind of save it for when I do it. I want to do the whole thing in one day, the whole campaign. And it kind of ruins the sort of excitement of doing. Like, if I do Act 1 and people see like how cool it. I don't know if it's cool, but I assume like watching a speedrun. I think it's cool. Anyway, I don't want to I want it to save it all for one stream because if I do it now, then people aren't going to tune in. Yeah. So I guess we are just. I better add Kinesi as well. I'm going to do what Zuta did. Who would like to go live though? Message me on Skype. Oh wow, Azamk is currently the ninth highest rated player. Not that that's... Oh, Kinesi's already on my friends list. Yeah, we have a 2-minute stream delay, by the way, everybody. If you're watching this, I said this 2 minutes ago because we can't, obviously we need a stream delay for tournament level play. I don't think there is anyone to go live, honestly. Actually, we're trying to sort something out now. Alright, I'm gonna take the stream offline, and if anybody wants to pick it back up from the ESOC sort of scene, then do so. But I'll be back with Zuta when we're ready to start for the next match. See you in a bit. Also, I'm going to do a speed run on my next day off, whenever that is. I'm going to go find out that out now, and I'm going to mention it again when we start the next thingy. I really want to get that speed run done. I want to set a competitive time. That'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to doing that. So yeah, I'm going to bring the stream down, and yeah, see you in a bit, guys.